In a notable diplomatic pivot, the Joe Biden administration has presented an alternative draft solution to the United Nations Security Council, signaling a shift in its approach to the Israel-Hamas conflict. The draft, as acquired by the media outlet Reuters, marks a significant departure from the previous US stance, which had been hesitant to advocate for a ceasefire in the UN actions concerning the conflict. The proposed resolution underscores the Security Council's backing for a temporary ceasefire in Gaza, contingent upon the release of all hostages, and advocates for unimpeded humanitarian assistance. It aims to underscore its support for a temporary ceasefire in Gaza as soon as practical, based on the formula of all hostages being released, and calls for lifting all barriers to the provision of humanitarian assistance at scale. The United States has signaled its intention to allow time for negotiations and is not rushing to bring the resolution to a vote, according to the US administration official speaking to the media. The resolution also emphasizes the potential humanitarian consequence in displacement of civilians, including into the neighboring countries, should a major ground offensive into Rafah proceed under current conditions. It specifically addresses the Israeli plans to advance into Rafah, a city where many Gazans have sought refuge, highlighting the serious implication for regional peace and security and arguing against such an offensive given the existing circumstances. While the US has historically provided diplomatic cover for Israel at the United Nations, this resolution marks a departure from that stance. Additionally, the draft also condemns call by certain Israeli government ministers for Jewish settlers to relocate to Gaza and reject any action that would violate international law by altering Gaza's demographics or territory. It opposes measures that diminish Gaza's land, such as establishing buffer zone and systematically demolishing civilian infrastructure. Israeli officials are yet to respond to the US draft resolution. The nuanced approach reflected in the US draft signals a departure from the unconditional diplomatic protection for Israel at the UN, adding complexity to the international efforts to address the Israel-Hamas conflict. This move by the US follows its indication of a potential veto against an Algerian draft resolution demanding an immediate humanitarian ceasefire, citing concerns about the potential impact on ongoing diplomatic negotiations involving US, Egypt, Israel, and Qatar.